Hey guys, thanks so much for stopping in. I sure appreciate it. Totally new background because holy crap, you guys, my house is on the market. It's going up for sale. I have decided to go ahead and move back with my family to the Midwest. I am going to leave Arizona. That gives me so much anxiety. My stomach just dropped. But as you can imagine, if you've ever listed a house for sale, you know that you're living out of boxes while you're having showings. Everything has to be immaculately clean, immaculately placed. And so I have a kind of a funny story about this white box back here. I'll get to that in a minute. But that is why I am filming on my living room floor on my lunch break in front of my living room window, because I did have to break down my entire YouTube setup. It was recommended to me to kind of open up that space in my room since I did have my YouTube filming set up, all of my makeup, a full bedroom suite, and a full office in one room. It did close off that room, and it was not the most aesthetically pleasing as far as a selling point. So this is a makeshift filming session. Hopefully it's doable, but the main point of today is we are already a week into August and I'm so far behind. I want to let you guys know how July went, what August looks like, so let's go ahead and go. Okay guys, going back to July, I did it. Look at this, look at this. No buy. There's nothing on it. I did a no buy in July. I'm so proud of myself. I did it. I bought no products in the month of July. It was actually relatively easy. Nothing really came out that spoke to me that I was like, I need to have that right now. So that definitely makes things a lot easier. It's when a product gets released that I really, really want, that makes no buys dang near impossible. So July was great for me as far as buying. I also did declutter or empty a few products, so that's really great too. Again, I know this is all pretty makeshifty. I'm doing the best I can with the time and space that I've been given with all the showings and like photographer and just people constantly in and out. I have just not had the time to get to anything. But so you'll see here that I actually have a couple products that I emptied and decluttered. So the Ulta Brown Gel, the mini sampler one, I did finish that one. And then I did empty the Essence Lash Princess in the green tube. I won't be repurchasing that one just because I prefer the pink and black one. The green one flaked on me, which was surprising because the pink one doesn't, but the green one did. So it was nice, but I'm not going to repurchase that particular one. And then I decluttered the L'Oreal Telescopic simply for age. I've had that for well over a year and I went to use it and I don't know, my eye kind of ended up irritated that day. Could have been coincidence, maybe not, but with it being well over, probably honestly closer to 2 years, don't judge me, I am broke. I try to make things last and work as long as possible, but so I went ahead and decluttered that one because I wasn't willing to risk that again. As many mascaras as I have, I just didn't see the point in risking it. So that did go. So I had 2 empties and 1 declutter. And then I did complete no pan left behind on everything except 1 palette, the Profusion Jurassic Park palette. I did not, and all of my palettes except this month's rotation have been packed. So I won't be doing like a ranking or anything like that because I don't have them to show you guys. But I did complete it on the Sigma Earthy, Milani Whiskey Business, ColourPop California Love, Alter Ego Canyon, Sigma Untamed, and Nomad Okavango Safari palette. The only other palette I had in the rotation was the Natasha Denona Xenon, but with the chaos of July, I really just didn't have any extra days to play with makeup that wasn't in the rotation, so I didn't use any shades in that yet. That's okay, that time will come. Now is just not the time for that palette, and it wasn't part of my like hit every pan project this month anyway, so that's okay. So I'll kind of show you the paper version of what that one looked like for the month. If you want more time to view it, just pause it. But there you go. So again, I'm not going to show you all the palettes or rank them because they're all packed. So that leads us into what we are using for this month. And this month is kind of weird. I have very neutral and very colorful palettes. It's kind of different, kind of fun, but starting with the biggest palettes and working to the smallest, I did go ahead and pull out my Morphe 35U Gilded Desert palette. This is like the ultimate neutral palette, but this just screams fall to me. I don't know why. I mean, it has fall colors, but essentially it's just a neutral palette, but there's something about this palette that's just fall, baby, fall. And August for me is one of those transition months where it's not fall yet, but we're about there, but I'm also done with summer colors. So I thought this would be the perfect time to get some use out of this, keep things neutral for a while I'm seeing a bunch of tons of people doing a bunch and tons of things. So yeah, this is in the rotation for this month. Next one is actually the one I've got on my eyes today. It is the BlendBunny Blends. So I today put this one in the crease and inner corner, this shade mid-lid, and then this shade in the outer corner. And then on the lower lash line, I did the darker green on the inside and this much lighter green here on, or excuse me, this one on the outer corner, and then this shade right here on the inner corner. And then I did use white as an inner corner highlight type of situation. But I think this turned out really, really pretty today. But I had no intentions of seeing people today. Of course, that has since changed since I've done my makeup, but I thought today would be a fun day to play with some colors. So this is in the rotation. I don't need to hit every single shade in this palette because I have made a dent in this already in other months. But there is basically this half of the palette and like one row down here that I do need to work on. So I thought this would be a great one to keep in the rotation. It balances out the super neutral palettes. So this will be fun. Next one I have is kind of a little bit of both. It's a little bit of color and a little bit of neutrals. It is the Pat McGrath Celestial Nirvana. I'll be honest, I think this one's on the chopping block. I don't get excited to use it. I don't get excited to use it, and that makes me kind of sad because it is a beautiful color story. The only time I'm ever really drawn to this is around Easter because I like these colors right here for the Easter holiday. But outside of that, I don't really care to use this. So this will be a great month for me to test this and see, like, is this going to stay? Is this going to go? So we've got that going for us. And then I only have 3 other palettes. So yeah, I have 6 palettes in this rotation. This is my smallest rotation ever, but I also know that I have a lot of no makeup days coming up. I can explain why in a couple minutes. But this one is the Sigma Ivy. This is another one that I think is on my chopping block. I love Sigma's formula, and there's nothing wrong with the formula in this one. I just really... It's a really neutral palette, and I've got this green and I've got these browns a million times over, and I don't really care for this blue or this blue on myself. I think it's too dark for my skin tone. So I don't love this one, but I pulled it into this rotation to see if I actually do need to dump it or keep it. I don't know yet, but it's in here. We're gonna just figure it out as we go, right? And then my last 2 palettes here are both Smashbox. I think I've brought these in the rotation a couple times and never got around to using it. This is the Minimalist palette. I actually did just use this the other day on, I did post that look on Instagram. I see these palettes as like 2 mini palettes. So there's a palette, there's a palette. And they just create the softest, most easiest looks to get out the door with. I was in a hellfire hurry the other day, and so I grabbed this one and made a look with crease, outer corner, mid-lid, inner corner. I was out the door, full face, like 12 minutes. It was wonderful. So I really like these. This one is the mattes. Sorry, I don't know if I said it. This is the Minimalist palette. So this has mattes and shimmers. So it's got this like shimmer with brown, warmer, neutral side. And then this side is more of a cool tone, taupey side. Also has a shimmer. This one is the mattes palette. Just like the name says, it is all matte. But it's got a more truer, neutral, matte brown side here. And then a more purpley, matte, neutral side over here. So like I said, we're pretty neutral heavy. Well, I shouldn't say neutral heavy. I think we have a great balance. We have, let's see. I think we're okay. So like these 3 are pretty neutral. I mean, you're not going to get hardly anything from these guys except for a brown look realistically. But then we've got, these guys for color, this for a little bit of a mix. Let me turn it the right way. This guy for a mix. So, I mean, I think it's a good balance. I've got color, I've got neutrals, I can make it work. There is just, the reason I only pulled in these 6 is 1, because a lot of my palettes have been packed or they're in that white cooler looking thing back there. I'll tell you about that in a second. But they're packed away, or, I was looking at the pans, the amount of shades that I have in front of me. I mean, this is a big palette. these are big palettes. Like, I just have a lot of shades in front of me. So I think these 6 will be fine for this month's rotation. That's where we are. So I'm going to get up and get that white box and show you why I keep giggling every time I see it in my peripheral vision. Okay, so my realtor advised me to have stuff that when people are coming through for showings to not have out, like things that people can pocket and walk away with, like jewelry or prescription medications, expensive things you don't want to lose. And although you can't really pocket a Natasha Denona palette, I'm not willing to risk it. So I created this box, and this box has like my son's like Nintendo DS or Nintendo's in it, and just a couple, you know, our prescription meds and stuff like that. But of course, the bulk of this box, let me get the meds out of the way here so y'all aren't seeing what craziness I'm on. But like the bulk of this box, woo, is my palettes. See some familiar ones in there? So this is I call it my go box. This is what we grab when there's showings and I run out the door. But it's all my Natasha Denona's, Makeup by Mario, Patrick Toss, Sigmas, Ensley Rain, and Nomads. So, and then my melt palette. So essentially it's all of my high-end palettes or palettes that have been discontinued I would be devastated to lose. I don't think anyone's going to go through my makeup drawers and kidnap palettes, but you just don't know, and I'm not willing to risk it. So that's why this just has me absolutely giggling. This is my go box. So if I'm home and my realtor's like, hey, you've got a showing, this is the box I grab on our way out the door, and this stays with me in the car, and I just make sure it's, you know, locked up when we go out shopping and stuff. But that's just, it's cracking me up. I don't know why it's so funny. It's not that funny, but it keeps me laughing. So you saw what July looked like. You see what August is going to look like. I'm on a good roll as far as hitting all my pans so far in August, even though we're only about a week into it. But I did mention I was going to have a lot of no makeup days coming up as well. If you don't care about life updates, you just here for the makeup, peace out. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with us. Nothing else really pertains to makeup at this point. These are just more or less just Michaela life updates. But so thanks, peace out. See you next time. Later much. Otherwise, if you want to hear about my drama and what else is going on, stick around. So life update number 1, clearly I've already established I'm getting ready to move. I did put my house on the market. It was a very, I don't know what happened. I've been debating it and debating it and debating it for like a year now. And all of a sudden, just one day I went, yeah, let's go. I don't know why. I don't know if that was the Lord speaking to me like, now's your turn, go. But I did. And everything so far has been so smooth that it makes me sick. I don't know if you're the praying type. I am a praying type. And I prayed to the Lord. I said, if this is meant for me, you need to make it stupidly easy, right? Like, it needs to be so easy that I can't say no to it. And so far, it's been stupidly easy. And it, again, makes me sick because I'm just like, gah. But of course, that can't be the only major thing that I have to throw at myself because I'm a glutton for punishment. I like to make things as difficult as possible. So that leads me into the second part of life updates, which is why I have a lot of no makeup days coming up. So editing a lot of my YouTube videos, you really break down yourself as far as like what you see, the different shapes of your eyes, the different shapes of your lips, your jaw, your teeth, right? My teeth. And I've been getting a lot of comments lately. You may not have seen them because I delete them. If you don't have something nice to say, then it doesn't exist here. You can be honest and you can say things in a kind, constructive way, and I'll take that. But to just simply say things like, get your teeth straightened, you need Invisalign, you need this, you need that. Like, I can ignore most of that, but to an extent, it does kind of creep under once in a while. And so I did get a comment probably about 6 or so weeks ago that was like, with all of the treatments out there, why can't you make yourself better, blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, that one just hit kind of hard. I don't know. But that led into reevaluating my teeth. And it's funny because initially I had set aside a huge chunk of money. I apologize, my AC just kicked on and I know you can hear it. But I originally set aside a large chunk of money because both of my sons, I was told, would need orthodontia. Well, my oldest son got cleared about a year ago. Ortho's like, no, we don't want to see him for a little bit, several years out, if at all. I said, fantastic. So I set that money aside for my next son. He just got evaluated a couple months ago, and Ortho was like, nah, we don't need to see him for a couple more years. Let's just hang out. And I said, sweet. So I had this chunk of money I set aside for their ortho, and I thought, you know what? Maybe it's my turn now. Maybe it's my turn. Now, I did have braces when I was in high school, and then I did have a short stint of clear retainers afterwards, and then my permanent retainer, I had one of those lingual bars on my bottom teeth. About 4 or 5 years ago, that lingual bar actually broke due to shifting of my teeth. My teeth with the lingual bar on them shifted, and that shift caused the lingual bar to bow up. The bowing up caused it to break, and so I got it removed. Well, of course, once I got that removed, they're like, you need a new retainer, but you can't get a new retainer until you re-straighten your teeth because they've shifted. That's what caused the bar to break. At the time, I was a freshly single mom, post-divorce. I was like, there's no way I can afford this. I wasn't even able to put food on the table there for a hot minute, so I was like, orthodontist definitely gonna have to wait. So of course, everything got worse and things have shifted. Well, oddly enough, I've been at my doctor's office for the past 2 years trying to figure out the source of my tension headaches. We've gone through expensive pillows, we've gone through mattress changes, we've gone through stress relief techniques, everything you can possibly imagine that would help with a tension headache except ortho. And so I've been going back and forth with him for about 2 years because I've just been having excruciating, like, throbbing right above my ears, like in my temples, and it would wrap around the back of my ear and down into the base of my head and top of my neck. And I was just not finding relief, and it was chronic for 2 years. Well, about 3 months ago, it started getting to where I had them more often than I didn't. And I remember sitting in my doctor's office going, Doc, I can't keep going this way. We've got to find relief. And at that point, I was starting to have jaw pain, and my jaw was starting to hurt. Like they didn't hurt, but they felt more or less like fatigued. Like I've been clenching all day long. And he's like, well, if you're clenching, that would explain migraines. And I said, well, they're not migraines, they're tension headaches. We weren't putting it together. And I don't blame my doctor because I didn't put it together either. And I worked for a dentist for years. I should have put this together, but I didn't. And so just a couple weeks ago, I went in and I said, okay, now not only does my jaw hurt, but my molars hurt. I feel like I'm just clenching like this all the time. And he goes, well, now that it's involving teeth, you need to just go back to your dentist. I don't know what to do for you anymore. We're going to see a new specialist. We've been at this for 2 years. And I was like, okay, fine. So I went back to my dentist and I said, you know, my molars, they don't hurt like a toothache, like a cavity or something. They just hurt like I'm constantly clenching, even though I'm really not. At least I don't think I am. And he looked me dead in the eyes and said, well, have you been to ortho yet? I said, well, why would I go to ortho? He goes, you have a significant crossbite. You have an anterior and posterior crossbite. Doc, how long has this been in my chart? Oh, about 2 years. Oh, when my headache started? Nobody told me. Nobody told me. My hygienist never told me. The dentist never told me. I was pissed. Pissed to be the nicest way possible. I said, so you're telling me that this crossbite could be what is causing my tension headaches for the past 2 years? He goes, yeah, absolutely. So what I originally went into ortho for was purely cosmetic and aesthetic has now become medical in a sense. I've seen several different orthodontists for, different evaluations and second opinions, and I settled on one and I talked to him in depth, couple of appointments, and he's like, yeah, you have an anterior crossbite, you have a posterior crossbite, and if you don't know what that is, essentially it's a crossbite is where, especially in the anterior, you can see when I smile, you can see this right here, that front tooth is actually sitting behind a back tooth. So it's when your upper teeth sit behind your lower teeth. And I just have 2 teeth right here that do that. And I've been self-conscious about it for a while now, but like I said, at the time I was assuming it's purely cosmetic. And then as far as my posterior crossbite, it's the same concept, except I have a functional shift crossbite. So what that means is because my teeth were crooked, the bite didn't line up. So my jaw has shifted so that my teeth will line up. And because of that shift, my midline doesn't match, my bite doesn't match. So not only do I have the front issue, but I have a bite issue, which explains why my teeth hurt, why my jaw hurts, why I have a tension headache all the time. And he's like, yeah, if we can get all of this shifted and realigned, get your bite right, you should have relief with your headaches. And I just started crying because I'm like, this has been a 2-year process. You've got to be freaking kidding me. And this is where I should have started if my dentist had just said something. And I'm certain he didn't, because like I said, I've worked for a dentist. If they had mentioned a crossbite, I would have been like, oh, like, okay. Now, granted, I probably should have put that together myself with my history, but there's just a lot of things going on in life and I never made the connection. So yeah, I'm about to start an Invisalign journey. Well, Michaela, why are you starting Invisalign right now if you're getting ready to move? Like I said, I like to make things as difficult as possible. So I talked to the ortho, and because I do have a really extensive case, he's estimating 1.5 years, closer to 2 years. Elastics, the whole enchilada. It's going to be a process to realign my jaw and get it all shifted. He thinks it's possible, so we're definitely giving it a shot, of course. But so I'll be starting that at the end of this month, possibly sooner. I'm hoping sooner. But ultimately what that looks like is he wants to see patients back every 12 to 16 weeks. So if I've moved, guess what? I'll be jumping on an airplane. Yes, there is the ability to pay out the rest of my services here and start fresh with someone back there, but we're talking like $5,000, y'all. $5,000 for this. I knew it was coming. Like I said, I had the money set aside, but I don't want to pay out $5,000 here just to pick it up back there. I'd rather pay for a $99 ticket for like a weekday. You know what I mean? And I only have to come back, 4, maybe 5 times, hopefully. But that's even if I move. And that was part of my dilemma was, do I start it now or do I wait? But if I wait, what if my house doesn't sell and I'm sitting here for another year? So it was one of those stuck in a rock and a hard place. And I figured for the very first time in my life, I'm going to cross that bridge when we get there. And let me tell you, that was one of the most excruciating moves I've ever made in my adult life, was crossing the bridge when we get there. I am not that kind of person. I'm going to plan out every single possible thing that could go wrong or right, and then what we're going to do about each of those things if they happen. I am not a cross that bridge when we get there. I am a plan ahead for every single possible scenario that could happen, not happen, and what we're going to do about it. So essentially, I kind of did that with the fact of, I'll just make flights out here and figure it out, Uber, the hotels. I still have friends out here. I still have a family member out here I could stay with. So it's definitely going to be quite the journey. So yeah, I've got my house on the market, showings ins and outs. This is kind of my filming setup. Filming is going to be just very random, when it can happen, where it can happen, if it can happen. So hang tight with me, guys. But I just wanted to pop in here, give you guys a quick life update, let you know that I made it on my July no buy, and August looks like it's going to be either a no buy or a low buy, probably just a replenish buy, because I am low on a couple things that I know I'm going to have to repurchase. But yeah, so hang tight with me, and I appreciate you guys sticking in there with me, and I will catch you in my next one. Later much!